Inflation is real and the cost of marketing has risen. Is that what's keeping your home from selling? Hi, I'm Deborah Morton with Inside Georgia Real Estate, and I'm here to talk about all things real estate related in Georgia. Our company, the agency Atlanta, works the Atlanta metropolitan area, and what we're seeing right now is increasing costs. Inflation is real. Increasing costs in marketing are impacting agents' ability to put eyes on homes. And this really matters as the technology changes and the big companies are fighting over market share of technology, online views, and really the consumers online. So we'll just dive right into it and address the Zillow, homes.com, realtor.com, all of the big marketing portals are fighting with the consolidation. We've seen Compass and Anywhere, the merging together is a big purchase. There's been a lot of mergers and acquisitions in real estate brokerages in the last 12 months. And as this plays out, things will continue to change. But where I'm seeing, my observation right now is the squeeze is on the little agents, the individual agents. And for those of you who listen who don't know how it works on the backside, let me pull back the veil a little bit. Real estate agents are independent contractors. They work under the supervision of a brokerage. Last month, we covered on Inside Georgia Real Estate, we covered the relationships of brokerages, agents. A real estate agent who holds a license in Georgia to do work as a real estate agent is not the same as a realtor, not the same as a broker. There are different relationships, and you can go back and check out the past episode to cover how those relationships work. Everyone are independent contractors. So you have, your cousin has a real estate license. He may or may not be a realtor, but he is an independent contractor responsible for running his business under the supervision of the brokerage. The brokerage makes sure he's legal and compliant, and that's really it. When you hire a real estate agent to sell your home, they are responsible for providing all the things that you would expect, and that is the marketing package. Who you hire matters. I talk about that every week on the show, but let's dig in a little deeper of what that means exactly and how inflation is impacting how realtors do their job, because we have to pay for the marketing of your home. And let's face it, in 2021, houses were flying off the shelves. Oftentimes I didn't even have our full marketing package printed and ready, and we had contracts on the houses. So it was a different time then, but now it's 2026. Homes are sitting, inventory is rising, it's a balanced market. We are seeing enough inventory online where buyers and sellers have equal footing in negotiating. If a buyer doesn't like a home, they'll go find a different one. That wasn't the case 3 and 4 years ago. So what do realtors do to highlight and market your home to make it stand out and differentiate it from everything else on the marketplace? This is why you hire an agent with a well-developed marketing plan and strategy. It matters. It's not just the photography, the videography, the brochures, the drone work, the community highlights, all of the things. Your agent, a good marketing package is going to tell the story of your home, the features, the benefits. You're going to highlight the differentiating factors of what makes your home special compared to the others on the market. Now, what happens when an agent gets hired and doesn't work with a company who has a marketing strategy, or maybe doesn't have the budget to do all the things? And I tell you, I bring it up because the cost of marketing is impactful to running a real estate brokerage. When we take on a listing that doesn't sell, we're fronting the money up front. And
100%, that's how much it's gone up year over year.
12% is the number. Thank you, Casey, from the sidelines here. Looking at the costs, inflation is real. We know it's real in everything, but turns out the actual increase in costs is 12% right now. There is a lot of conversation about agent compensation. You know, there's a lawsuit 2 years ago about commissions. Everybody thought buyer agent commissions would go away. They have not, because that lawsuit came about at the same time we were seeing increasing inventory and a flatter market. Buyer agent commission is paid, the responsibility for paying a buyer agent belongs on the buyer. You are hiring an agent to represent you, it is your cost. But what we see in real estate, again, I'm speaking specific to Georgia, what we're seeing in Georgia is buyer agents are still requesting their compensation be rolled into the selling price of the home. When we meet with sellers, we are explaining to sellers that that fee, when it's asked for, you should consider it part of the marketing fee that you're paying. Additionally, you're paying your listing agent, the listing brokerage, a fee to go to marketing. Now, when you go buy anything anywhere, eat at a restaurant or whatever, the total dollar paid for the product or service doesn't go to the person. The waiter doesn't get all $50 for your food at a restaurant. There are costs associated. It goes to the, whatever. So at the end of the day, what the waiter ends up with, or any business, or so you can buy a widget, there's costs associated. Because we are independent contractors, agents are paying their broker, they're paying their taxes, they're paying the cost, the fixed cost, signs, lock boxes, brochures. They're paying the photographer, they're paying for the videographer, they're paying the drone operator, they're paying for the editing of the videography, they're paying the MLSs. In Georgia, in the Atlanta marketplace, we have 2 MLSs. We have all of these costs that are factored in and always have been. When you work with a company who has a well-developed marketing strategy, those costs are part of what you're hiring them for. Staging is a cost that sometimes is covered by the broker, sometimes is covered by the homeowner. It depends on what the strategy for the house is. And frankly, houses with higher selling price afford more budget, discretionary budget to be marketed. But what happens when the expectation is that the home is going to be on the market 40, 50, 60 days? Do you stop with just the photography, with the sign, the lockbox, or are you enhancing the marketing package with add-on services? We'll talk about AI and digital. Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, Google, it's been around for a long time, YouTube, all of the places where there are digital opportunities to reach people, that's where the marketing dollars go to as well. So there are enhancements there. Now let's talk about Realtor.com, Homes.com, Zillow has Showcase. Every one of these portals has the opportunity for an agent to pay to enhance the marketability. Anyone who thinks that those portals operate fairly are not realistic. So the thing that we're seeing is you think, oh, my home's on the market, it's going to appear on Zillow. Zillow pulls from the MLS. They have access to the MLS. They see all the homes that are there. But are what you see as a consumer, is it fair? Is it just a list of MLS? No. Because AI is running behind the scenes with all of these portals, they are choosing which houses to show you. So as you're scrolling online, you're looking at the houses, you think this is all the houses in the neighborhood, but it's not necessarily the case. It's the houses they want you to see. So what we are doing is paying extra to use the tools to make sure that your home is seen. And this is an unfair reality of the world we live in. It's a pay-to-play scenario. So the agents who don't have the budget or are unwilling to pay the portals because they have personal feelings about them, are they harming their clients by not showcasing the client's home in all the places it needs to be? The strategy has not, it's not just more enhanced, but it has to be a strategy that covers the amount of time that you expect the home to be on the market. And when we're looking at a home that in one neighborhood, there's 8 homes for sale that are all similar, what are we gonna do to make sure our home has better visibility? And it's using all the tools and the technology that's available to us. And you know, is it fair? Doesn't matter, it's business. Is it fun? Not necessarily. It's a lot of expense on our part. To market a home well, we're fronting the money up front. We're making sure the home is in all the places. So the homeowner's responsibility is to make sure it is show ready, priced appropriately. We can only control what we can control. The homeowner gets to control the price and the condition. The agent gets to control the marketing package. Those are the controllables. We cannot control mortgage rates. We cannot control the inventory levels. We cannot control inflation. We cannot control what the government's doing regarding wars and all the chaos. We can control price, condition, and marketing. And that's what your job is. And at the Agency Atlanta, we have a very strategic plan for doing that. We also have for you available through InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com. You go online and request how to interview an agent. If you're thinking about hiring, of course, talk to us at the agency. But this show is about equipping, educating, informing, and hopefully entertaining you so that you can learn more about real estate and how to be successful with your goals. So go online, download the questions to ask when you're interviewing an agent. And one of those questions, 2 of those questions are specifically to marketing strategy, because you want to make sure when you're hiring someone to sell your home, it is expensive, it is a longer commitment in the market we're in. You're going to be in partnership with your agent for probably at least 3 to 5 months at this point. So that relationship has to be full of trust. It has to be full of good communication. Hopefully you will like each other, but liking each other is not nearly as important as getting the results. I like to think we're all likable. Either way, you want to make sure good communication, good trust, and that the marketing budget and strategy is predetermined before you put your home on the market. So in talking about how all of the marketing costs have increased, technology has expanded, feels a little intrusive at times, but the big thing that's happening in 2026 that we will not see the results from until next year or maybe even the year after are all the mergers and acquisitions. What has happened in real estate behind the scenes? And if you're not in the industry, this might be TMI. But if you're thinking about buying or selling, it might be helpful to have a clue of what's happening right now. All the big brokerages are buying and selling and consolidating. And the reason for this is because of dollars. Inflation is real. They are consolidating their overhead, their services. The technology platforms have changed so rapidly because tech is so important to the back end of what we do with data about homes, marketing to reach people. Everybody, you get the little pop-ups on your screen that are about cookies, accepting cookies. Cookies are being collected on everybody right now. And the sites where you shop for homes are absolutely in the game. The brokerages are merging. So we've seen Compass Buy Anywhere. We have seen Real and Remax merge. We have seen others, there's just all of this consolidation. And the reason for it is because they're vying for the data. It's all about the data and the marketing and how to reach and control the flow of data. Our MLSs in the Atlanta marketplace, we have First Multiple Listing Service and Georgia Multiple Listing Service. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you know we've had guests on from the different services that explain what happens on the back end. When a real estate agent signs a listing agreement and they enter the information into the MLS. The MLS systems have agreements with third-party sites. The brokerages have the agreement with the MLSs. The MLSs have agreements with the third-party sites. That's the flow of information. This consolidation of brokerages to conserve costs and to have better access to data, that is what is driving all of the noise in the industry right now. My goal is always the clear path to success. That is my mission in real estate, to break it down into manageable chunks so everybody understands. You don't have to burden yourself with understanding how the back end works. If the person you hire knows what's going on and can put a manageable strategy together and get the results, that's the most important thing. That's what a clear path to success looks like. But it's getting more complicated because the mergers, the acquisitions, the technology, and AI is throwing a monkey wrench into everything. So my job is to protect my client, protect the data, protect the results that you hired me for by using all of the tools to our fullest advantage. Some of that comes with a check. There's a check equity. I write the check, get the marketing package put together, make sure your home is seen. There's also the sweat equity, working and behind the scenes to make sure that all of the boxes are checked to make sure that your home is visible. What's interesting as the big boxes fight it for market share is what's happening to the consumer in the process. In the news, everybody wants to be, they are pro-consumer. They're doing what's best for the people. And we're in a scenario right now where I think maybe some of that is suspect. Some of the companies are trying to make the argument that we're fighting for transparency. It started with the lawsuit a couple years ago about agent compensation. It was for transparency. Well, I have to say, since that happened, things are less transparent than ever. It's harder to find the information we need to help people. Now we have the big brokerages consolidating and fighting to help the consumer for better transparency, for better protections. And again, I have to question, I'm not a natural skeptic, but I do come at this with a little bit of skepticism because when you have to see what's happening on the back end, again, time will tell, things will play out because this is all real time in process. So to wrap it all up, if you're thinking about selling your home, be certain that you're working with someone who is full-time, experienced, and has their finger on the pulse in the marketplace. Because what we're doing today does not match what we did a year ago or even 6 months ago. Technology is moving that fast. So be sure that you're hiring someone that's going to make sure that your home is seen in all of the places. The fact is, you have one home to sell and there is one buyer it's going to be right for. If you're lucky, and it still happens, that buyer will appear right away. But if that buyer doesn't show up in the first week or two, you're looking at a long relationship with your agent, and I want to make sure you are best prepared. There are lots of tools available to market your home. Those tools require an investment, and your agent has to be prepared and ready to invest in your success. That's what you're hiring them for. If you have questions about the marketing portals, marketing strategy, and how AI has disrupted the usual way of doing it, send us a message, send us your questions. We will do follow-ups. And by the way, we answer directly as well. So continue to listen to us online, send us your questions, and we will address all of the things real estate related. I'm Deborah Morton with Inside Georgia Real Estate. Thanks for joining us. See you on YouTube.